Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast, your home for inspiring conversations with outdoor insiders. Each week, author, speaker, adventurer, and outdoor industry veteran Rick Saez talks in depth with iconic brand founders, sales and marketing pros, product designers, and industry rising stars. Listen in when Rick's guests offer actionable advice to land your ideal industry gig and grow your outdoor career. Catch us again when the conversation shifts to the hottest outdoor products, destinations, and the latest industry insights. And now, here's Rick.
Downlite has been enhancing lives for decades by providing a superior comfort experience. They began in down and feather more than 100 years ago and continue to lead in quality and innovation today. And I'm excited to speak with Downlite President of the Feather and Down Division, Josh Werthaiser.
Hey, Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, this is going to be fun to talk about down. I always love talking about the product side, the manufacturing side of the product business. I was in the industry for a long time, but we made Cordura and stuff. I didn't get to talk about Gore-Tex much or down much, so this will be fun.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again for the time.
So before we get into your work with Downlite, I saw you're a Reds fan. That's got to be a little bit tough right now, eh?
It is pretty tough. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so I got to enjoy in early 90s. I was a kid, so I got to enjoy watching my Cincinnati Reds win a World Series back then. I went to Game 2. I still remember the line drive up the line, which won the game, and that was fun because we were kind of an underdog at that time. Unfortunately, we've been an underdog ever since, too. So we haven't had very many playoff wins, but you can't be a bandwagon fan. You got to go ahead and stick to the teams that you love. They're a team that I've always loved. But you talk about the Reds. I mean, right now all the talk in Cincinnati is the Bengals. So of course they almost won the Super Bowl, but didn't quite make it.
They came really close. Yeah, I thought they were going to pull it off, but no such luck.
So did we. We're all hopeful, but at the same time, hopefully we'll have another chance here in the next couple of years.
I think you guys will be there for a while. You got some good talent there, and Joe Burrow is, man, he's impressive.
Yeah, we could start talking about sports if you want to, but that will probably
Yeah, that'll distract everybody. Of course, I'm sure there's people out there listening. I know a couple that would love that, but we'll get back into the down product.
Sure.
So how did you get into the down business?
It's a good question. I was kind of born into it, to be honest. My family's been in this industry for over 100 years. My great aunt, who was really 30 years older than my grandfather, so she's technically 3 generations away from me, but realistically she's probably 4 generations when you look at the age gap there. Yeah. She started collecting feather and down in Eastern Europe, in the late 1800s, and then what she would do is just kind of process it and ship it to manufacturers that would use it for insulation for all purposes, bedding, jackets, anything you could think of. And then the family continued to do it all throughout. They came over to the United States in the 1950s following World War II, and basically brought that knowledge with them. And to be completely honest, I never really thought I would get into the business. It was one of those things where it was kind of one of those things where, I had these different visions. But as I came out of school, worked a few other jobs for a little while, and then I got a call one day from my father, and he said, "Hey, we're trying to figure out what the next step is for the company, and whether we're going to help this thing get to the next generation." And he asked if I had interest. Went to my current employer at the time, and I said, "Hey, I've been invited into the family business. Love to try it out."
Cool.
And so basically at that point in time, my employer at that point basically said, "Hey, no problem. Enjoy. We'll give you how about 6 months. And if you are interested in coming back in 6 months, we'll have you back." Well, I said, "That's awesome. Thank you." Started in September of 2001, and haven't looked back since, to be honest.
Good for you. What was what was your other career? What path was that looking like?
It was more on the finance and IT side. So I was working with a company called Kroger, who's a big grocery store here in Cincinnati, based in Cincinnati, but they're all over the country. With them on audits at that point in time, doing financial and IT audits, and was getting ready to move over to collaborative inventory planning over with them. And that's when I got the call. And so again, it was a lot of fun, and they were great. But once I joined the company and kind of experienced it, I didn't look back. It was a lot of fun here.
Yeah, good for you. And you guys experience a lot of growth, so that always makes it exciting. Makes it easier to stick around.
Absolutely.
So Downlite has a unique customer list in 3 segments. How's the outdoor segment holding up compared to home and hospitality?
Well, from a Downlite perspective, it's one of our stronger growth segments. We basically, it's been one that, it was kind of the roots of our business originally. We were basically a company that basically the processing of feather and down, and then would sell it to other manufacturers before Downlite became what it is today. But it's, we reinvested, really around 2008, 2009, we said we'd really want to go ahead and focus on this part of the business as well. And since that point in time, it's been really the rising star for us. It now makes up about 40% of our total business overall, which has been a lot of fun for Downlite. Through the last couple of years, COVID had an impact on everybody, on everything. Right. Even through that, it has stayed strong. So it's one of those that's been continuously growing for us year in and year out.
Yeah, COVID seemed to, in some ways, a lot of outdoor brands benefited from everybody getting outside, right? And we've seen it over here in the Eastern Seaboard. I've talked about it on the show before, just the people coming up to hike and camp and fish. There's always been a lot, but it seems like a major influx. So that had to be a positive for the business.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there were 2 things from a COVID perspective. Obviously, we're also on the home side, as you know. So people are spending a lot more time in their home because that was one of the safest places for them to be. So they were investing in their homes. So we saw a nice pickup on the home side there. But then to your point, trying to rent a camping space or anything like that at a local park, you couldn't do it because they were sold out. Right. When people weren't home, where did they want to be? They wanted to be outside and enjoying the outdoors. So both of those segments really kind of saw an uptick after the initial kind of fear factor that occurred. They both saw a nice little uptick in business. So you're absolutely.
Which segment have you been selling the longest? Is it the outdoor?
It's the bulk feather and down. So outdoor is a large segment of that. But going back to, again, the roots of our company, we basically were processors of feather and down. And then we used that feather and down. We sold it to manufacturers that made bedding. And really didn't get into the actual production of any type of finished product that used the fill until the 1970s. You could definitely say that the outdoor industry and sales of bulk feather and down was really the longest tenured segment of our business.
That makes sense, yeah. And tell our listeners how you responsibly source down and feathers. What does that look like?
Yeah, so another great question. Feather and down, it's a byproduct of the poultry industry. They're basically, when I joined the business, I remember having conversations, just understanding and hearing where the supply chain came from. And, things that Downlite really took a position on early was that we would only take material that came from humanely treated birds that basically were not going to be harmed. So we didn't allow for material in our supply chain to come from from live plucked birds or anything along those lines, which is a minor segment within our industry, less than 1%. But we basically said that we can't stand for that. So we actually, before there was any type of traceability systems, we actually worked with all of our suppliers and had them sign affidavits that basically said that the material that we got did not come from those sources. And we worked with different labs to do our own audits to make sure the supply chains were clean and safe. So then, as you know, obviously it's a hot topic, responsibly sourced material, and especially in this day and age, transparency is key. So we started working with some of our brand partners to actually develop some of the standards that are out there today, such as TDS and RDS, RDS being the responsible down sourcing, which everybody knows of today. So we worked with them to develop this, which became an industry standard through North Face. And now everybody uses it. So all the material that we source for the outerwear industry does come from RDS supply chains. Obviously, there are transaction certificates that come from all the way up the supply chain to make sure that the material that we're getting is coming from humanely treated birds. So it is critical for us, because one of the things that we want to make sure is that we are transparent with customers and the end consumer.
Yeah, good on you. You've been doing that since the get-go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does the downtrack program work? I've had a couple conversations with some other folks about it, but walk me through that again.
Sure. So downtrack again plays back to the transparency. It plays back to sure that that the end consumer can get information on their fill. So one of the things we're working on with a lot of our brand partners is the ability to go ahead and scan a barcoded tag, or a QR code that basically would be on a label that would be on the product, which allows the customer to go ahead and find out more information about what certifications the fill carries, such as RDS, what kind of chemistries were used on it, such as Blue Sign certified chemistries, like detergents, to make sure that it's basically safe for them and safe for use, and making sure to give them the comfort that they know that they got material that was cleaned properly, that came from origins that were responsibly sourced. It lets them even see the test results for that fill, so they can actually see how that material tested from a fill power perspective and so much more. But again, it all comes back to transparency and making sure that the consumer at the end of the day understands where the product came from, can feel good about the purchase they made.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that they can do that, yeah. And I saw you have a recharge down program. That sounds pretty cool. How do you execute on that?
That's been an interesting challenge. Obviously, recharge materials. It's all about, so there's two types of recycled materials. There's post-consumer recycled, and then there's pre-consumer recycled. So obviously, from a post-consumer recycled process, there's something called GRS. It's the Global Recycle Standard, and we make sure to work with GRS certified facilities who collect materials from products that have been in the market for a while, and they will open them up, they'll separate them, they'll remove the fill, they keep it segregated so that the goose stays with the goose, the duck stays with the duck. Sometimes, I will be honest, that they don't do a great job of that, so basically used as and obviously through use of materials, it's basically the down cluster will break apart a little bit, so you see a little bit more fiber. So we have to work with partners of ours who can extract that fiber, or when we get it here in Cincinnati or at one of our manufacturing facilities, we will actually extract some of the fiber as well to make the quality what it needs to be. Just like RDS, that material, that recycled material, does carry a transaction certificate, so we can validate where it came from. And for us, it gives us the ability to make sure that we are truly providing a recycled material to our customers. And then it takes some processing. It takes some work on our side to make sure the quality is what it's supposed to be. So we have to basically, A, we clean it, of course. B, we basically will extract some of the components that maybe make it not what the quality that an end consumer would want or a brand would want. So that part is something we've been doing now for the last couple of years, and it's definitely a growing segment of our business when it comes to the sale of fill. Because it kind of goes with the reduce, recycle, reuse mentality. There's limited out there, and this gives us the ability to go ahead and maximize the use of material that is already in the industry.
That's pretty cool, but that must be a lot of work on your part. Has it been challenging, or you just kind of weaved it right into the rest of the workflow?
It's always challenging as things start off because supply chains are and basically, it doesn't mean recycled material is not out there. It just means that the certification processes to validate where the material came from are not necessarily as developed as they could otherwise be. And over time, just like when it came to RDS, that when it came to that process, it takes a while for that critical mass to hit where more people start getting certified, which allows the supply chain to kind of open up a little bit more. So it has gotten easier because there are more supply chains GRS certified. But another really cool thing with regard to the recharge down that you had mentioned is we're also working, a lot of times brands will go ahead and manufacture jackets, and there's damaged goods when it comes to their manufacturing. And those brands have a tough time knowing what to do with that kind of product. Sometimes they just dispose of it because they don't want to put damaged products out into the marketplace. Right. But there's a lot of valuable material that's left there. So we actually work with some partners, one of our partners being a company called DeBrand up in Vancouver, who basically goes ahead and will take those pre-consumer materials and will actually recycle that, where we basically will go ahead and get them down, and we can the whole circularity program. We can get that material back, reprocess it, and then ship it back to customers. So we both attack both the post-consumer and pre-consumer recycled materials.
That's awesome. So there's literally no waste. That's very cool.
That's the goal. That's absolutely the goal.
Yeah. Good for you guys. That's great. We're going to take a little break and give some love to our sponsor, Thrive Market. Think organic groceries are too expensive? So does Thrive Market. They guarantee savings on healthy groceries and home essentials delivered. How? It's easy. They work directly with the best organic brands so you get the highest quality products without the big retail markups. Shop everything from pantry essentials to sustainable meat and seafood,
to toxic cleaning supplies and save up to 30% on your favorites. Choose a free gift up to $24 in value when you purchase a Thrive Market membership. 1- and 2-year memberships are available. Go to ricksays.com/Thrive Market and get your membership today. That's ricksays.com/Thrive Market. Now, back to the show. We talked a little bit about COVID. How have you guys adapted to COVID? I mean, it makes visiting factories and customers pretty challenging. We know what happened to trade shows.
Oh yeah. It's definitely been a challenge, and I think we've got some frustrated salespeople because salespeople love to go see their customers, right?
Right.
But unfortunately, some of the customers cannot be seen. They're just through their own requirements and their own regulations. So, thank God for the ability for us to do things like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, or using Google to go ahead and do FaceTime meetings. I was seeing my customers more since COVID, not necessarily in person, but I've been able to actually see them and have conversations with them. So that's one way we've been able to stay connected, is by having Zoom meetings or Microsoft Team meetings where we're able to actually go ahead and see them face to face and have those conversations. And the nice thing is you can do it the same day. You don't have to fly up there, but there's nothing that beats face to face. So we are slowly but surely adapting back to that. As our customers are allowed to see us, we are going to see them. So It's important that we keep it strong. With regard to, I totally lost my train of thought there.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
But so that's basically how we've been able to do it, is just by seeing them face to face. Oh, what I was going to mention is we also do, obviously from a supply chain perspective, we have offices both in Europe as well as in China. So we are seeing, whereas we may not be able to travel into China as easily these days, our Chinese team is at the factories. They are visiting with their suppliers. We're having meetings with them on FaceTime, where we're able to actually go ahead and talk to them and just keep the face-to-face conversations going until such time that we're able to travel there once again.
Yeah, and you nailed it. I think one of the benefits of COVID was we all learned how to use Zoom and all these Microsoft Teams and things. And you probably communicate more frequently with folks than you did in the past. But there's nothing like face to face. There's just nothing like shaking hands and sharing coffee, whatever it is. Yeah,
absolutely agreed. Yeah. Absolutely agreed.
Without giving away any state secrets, can you talk about any future projects you guys are working on?
Well, there's one that we just finished up on, actually, and again, it was during COVID, which made it very challenging. We just actually opened up a factory up in near Toronto, where we're doing processing of feather and down because we want to get closer to some of our customers as well in that marketplace. And so we're excited that we have opened that up. We are now processing feather and down up in Canada at this point in time as well. So it's really an exciting venture for us. It's our first true manufacturing facility outside of that's fully owned by Downlite, that is outside of the United States. So that's been a venture. Obviously, trying to open up a factory during COVID when travel is restrictive has posed some challenges, but we have good people up there. Our teams have been able to get up there to help from a training perspective, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's really great to see the fruits of that hard work. So
that's very cool. Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you. That is. Other things, obviously there's a lot of treatments there's a lot of little benefits that we're working on when it comes to things we can do to apply during the manufacturing process to feather and down. Anything from antimicrobial treatments. Obviously we continue to work on DWR, which is water repellency treatments to feather and down. There's a lot of things that we've been working on, which I don't want to get necessarily into the specifics because they're things that we'll be introducing in the months ahead, but things that are new compared to what we are doing today and what the market is seeing today, and things that I think we'll find that our customers will find and our partners will find a lot of value in. So some exciting stuff coming down the pike. Yeah,
that's very cool. I love all the waterproof treatments because, I'm old enough to remember back in the day when washing your sleeping bag was like an all-day affair in the bathtub, and it's just
It's basically, you're right. Water repellency has definitely helped that, and also, the one thing about down, when down gets wet, it loses its ability to warm.
Right.
Obviously, that's the thing we talk about with down is it's a lightweight warmth. So we need to be, and when you're in certain environments, you need that added benefit in order to go ahead and be comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you get outdoors much yourself? What outdoor activities do you participate in?
I do get outdoor. I would not say that anybody would ever call me. I'm not going to lie. No one's going to call me now per se, but I love hiking. We have a lot of good hiking locations around here, both around the greater Cincinnati area. In Kentucky, there are some amazing parks that have some great trails. So my wife and I, as well as my 3 sons, we all enjoy getting out there and hiking around. So that's one thing that I would say that we really do enjoy. Skiing is another thing. I will tell you that I am by far and away the worst skier of the 5 of us, meaning my 3 sons are much better than I am, but I'm catching up. But skiing in the Midwest is not the same as skiing out west.
Right.
So my wife keeps telling me I need to get out west because that's where I'll be able to get better. So, but I do love skiing. It's one of the things that I really do enjoy, and especially because my kids enjoy it. Mm. It's a great way for us to go out and just enjoy ourselves together. So skiing's another one. The big thing that I do is I run. Mm. So I'm a runner, so I do street running, so not necessarily trail running. I do that on occasion, but street running is my favorite. I run about 4 or 5 times a week, about 20 to 25 miles a week, and we'll keep doing it until my knees tell me otherwise. So
that's for you. That's great. Yeah, well, my knees have told me otherwise. I actually gave my ski quiver away about 3 weeks ago. My knees are just so bad I can't do it anymore, and figured I'll give my skis to someone who can use them. But yeah, and I can't run anymore either. But I had years of fun beating them up. So
that's exactly right. That's it's a love-hate relationship, isn't it? When you start running, you're basically like, why am I doing this? And then you get that runner's high, and you just enjoy yourself. And then at the end, you feel great. So it's one that running is part of my life. It's kind of my meditation.
Yeah, what it used to be for me, but years of football is what did it into me. But yeah, it's just, and then you get into all the outdoor hiking and biking and climbing and skiing, and it's so much fun. I wouldn't change it for the world. So I'll pay the price now. I don't mind it. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into the outdoor adventure biz?
This is probably some advice that I'd give to anybody, whether it be outdoor or not, is obviously if you know something you want to sell and you have the passion for it and you know who you want to sell it to, that's the key. Knowing what it is you want to sell, who you want to sell it to, and having the passion to sell it, and making sure that you get your message across. Because I believe people, they will support something that is true to what it is marketed as. So make sure that you basically know what it is that you're trying to sell, and you can communicate that clearly. And if you do that, you'll be successful.
That's good advice. Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah. I think these days there's a lot of things to sell, but I think you're right. If you know what you want and explain it well, people buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you gotta sell. Your message can't be fake; it has to be real. So whatever you're telling your audience, it has to be real. Because if it's not, people will be able to read through it and see through it, and they won't support you. So it's got to be a real message that you're trying to put across.
Yeah, that's true. Authenticity drives the day.
Agreed.
What is your favorite outdoor gear purchase under $100? A pair of running shoes? Of course, you can't get those under $100 anymore.
Yep. Hey, I mean, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. What I would tell you is for me, one of my favorite outdoor things that I bought that was under $100 was a Camelback. When I go out and I go out and I run, and I do a long run, especially in the summertime, where here it can get into the 90s and it can be 100% humidity. It's one of those things that you have to stay hydrated. And so but that's a key thing for me. And I would say that would be probably the best investment under $100 that I've ever made.
That's a good one. Yeah. A lot of people have mentioned that. Those are key. How about a couple of favorite books? Do you have any favorite books you recommend or give away?
I have to admit, I'm a fan of, I read a lot of business books. I'm reading one right now, The First 90 Days, and I'm still getting a feel for it. It's all about strategies for getting people started, setting people up for success when they join your company. And so far, I found it to be a really good book. But what I would tell you as well is, for me, I love fictional. I love mystery. I love science fiction. Dan Brown is one of my favorite authors. He can't come out with books fast enough for to fill my appetite.
He's awesome.
Another author that I love, again, somebody who just I think does a nice job of taking science and with thriller and mystery, is an author by the name of James Rollins. So he's another author that I truly do enjoy. So those are some of the books that I enjoy because they're light things that can basically go ahead and help me just kind of relax.
Yeah, you can clear your head. You can get the day past. You can, disappear in one of Dan Brown's thrillers, or that's pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. As we wrap up here, is there anything else you'd like to ask or say of our listeners?
Get outside, enjoy.
Nice.
I think a lot of people don't realize how amazing we have it around here. Just the different ecosystems and just the country as a whole, the geography. It's just amazing. Mm-hmm. Get out there. And, obviously you have the right gear for it, but go enjoy it, meet people in different areas, and really appreciate everything for what it is.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. And if people want to follow up with you, what's the best way?
Sure. I mean, with me specifically, you can always reach out to me here at Downlite. My email, obviously, is it's J Werthaiser, and I can spell that out if you'd like. It's WERTHAISER at Downlite, DOWNLITE.com.
Perfect.
But or when it comes to information on Downlite as a whole, you can obviously find us on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitter. So we basically have locations at all three. So
cool.
Don't ever hesitate to reach out to us here. We're always happy to help.
Cool. Well, we'll link to all that stuff in the show notes. It's been great talking to you, Josh. I learn a lot every time I talk to one of you guys in the back end side of our business. So thank you very much for that.
Hey, Rick, I appreciate it. Thank you for making the time for us.
All right. I'll see you at a show soon.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or spread the word and tell a friend about the show. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Saez.